What an awesome video there of Shredded. He has dual citizenship, United States and Pakistan. I think he made it through the North America qualifiers.
He was invited directly.
Oh, sorry. He was one of our invited players, but he had a strong start in game one, ended up faltering a little bit, but it's pretty funny there. He wasn't exactly sure yesterday if he had made it through, and that's like that's like when you don't know if you're into the finals or last day. That's something you want to know right away.
Yeah.
So it's funny. He's like, well, I didn't really believe them people when they were telling me, but then I learned that I made it through. That's got to be a good feeling once he actually came to that conclusion. But what are we expecting from Shredded here going forward? You know, not the hottest start. He said he was shooting for top 4. What does his mentality have to be in this final?
I don't know. It's weird. Part of me wants to say that his sort of like barely scraping by was not necessarily on purpose, but it was very much just like trying to play safe, trying to hit top 4. That's all he needs. But after that first game, it's only one game. Sample size is very low, but it's a little, I don't know, it wasn't super confident.
Well, that's why we're here along for the ride. So I'm excited to see what happens in game 2. Let's get into it. Before this gets too far underway, we have some words from our winner of the last game, hailing from Germany. Let's hear from Seiko.
Today will be much harder, I think, because I'm facing my sensei as well, so pretty scared. He's taking one of the top spots, I think, so there's only 3 left. So, yeah, I just hope to get a good game 1 maybe again, so I can just go for 3rd and 4th maybe, the other games.
I mean, he did it. It's true, he did it. He did do a good game 1.
I wish he planned all of his other games too beforehand.
I don't know. I think he seemed a little. Granted, we are coming off of the high of him having one of the greatest victories, health-wise and like just dominance-wise of any of these games this entire weekend. But he also won both of his groups, won the group, won his semifinal. I think he was a little too humble. I think he's definitely one of the major favorites to win this.
No, I just don't think he wants to feel like he should win. That's like a dangerous mindset to put yourself in, because then you also start underestimating your opponents. You can be confident, but you don't want to be overzealous, if you will. And this opening is actually super nice, actually leading him into something similar from last game. But not only does it do that, if you get a God of War 2, or actually tons of God of Wars, this is also a perfect start to go into God Mages. And I actually had a little chat with Seiko this morning before we went to the venue, and we were talking a little bit about the rise again of Night Glaciers, and we both concluded that one of the best ways to beat them is actually going God Mages. That is the best setup against Night Glaciers. So, and he said he really tried to go into that yesterday, but didn't find too many opportunities. So maybe this is the game to do just that.
Yeah, maybe. We've only seen one God Mage play, if I'm not mistaken, this entire weekend. It's not the most common build. It's not the easiest ones to lean into. But who knows, maybe he'll go to forward. He has a Goblin start again, but we don't want to read too much into that because Goblins are, I think their biggest use is just establishing a win streak before you transition out of it. Rarely do you see Goblins actually continue to maintain to the late game like the previous game. Over here, Chuck, though, got a couple of Goblins himself, but a couple of good 2 stars. He got 7th last game. This is a good start to kind of come back from that.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty solid Goblin start here. One of the Goblins being 2-star. I like him putting a Wood Staff on the Heavenly Bomber also. It's gonna let Heavenly Bomber, which has a pretty low cooldown actually, to get off some extra skills. Also, putting items in Goblins is not usually a big of a miss going into late game, as you can sell them out.
Yeah, exactly. But up against Archdevil, who has Goblins of his own. It's gonna be a little bit of back and forth. I don't know, it's favoring. I like the fact that Archdevil's Goblin buff did go on a Skybreaker, but it looks like Chuck is going to come out on top because his Goblin buff went, of course, onto his Heaven Bomber, and he's going to win this round. And this could be a good start to start a win streak. But Shredded, he doesn't have a win streak anymore. He's going to have to, I don't know, maybe either start it up again or go into a lose streak. But this is not the start that he wants.
Right, as we say that, we have a bit of a pause here. I'm sure that's going to be fine in just a moment. Yeah, Shredded starting out against tons of these Goblins, actually. And it's a little hard to go against them in the beginning. It always has been.
So let's talk, I guess, talk about go a little deeper now that we have the time with the quick pause on early game strategies. I think obviously at surface level it's just get 2 stars and then as well as get goblins, and if you can get goblin 2 stars, that's kind of the best of both worlds. But is there anything else that certain players want to lean towards a little more than others?
Yeah, I mean, there are those goblins, of course, and also the warriors being super flexible start. Like if you get a 2-star warrior and with 2 others, that can really keep your health up in the beginning. Also, as that continues, you can actually slot into a lot more setup. So that's the advantage of the 3 warriors.
You can see on the scoreboard in the very center of your screen that there are a lot of goblins. That's not terribly unusual though, just because I think we've made it clear. Goblins in the early game are very powerful. You generally start to see people transition out of them around what, like round 7, 8?
Yeah, 15, 16, 17 maybe. It really depends on what you transition into.
I mean, like you see the first wave of people leaving around 7 or 8, and then like the second wave around.
Right. Exactly. And also it's interesting to see that there's tons of goblins actually in this game, because that doesn't propel you into going Night Glaciers, which is one of the strongest comps right now. Because when you do play for goblins and mechs, you actually don't have the extra economy to pick up a lot of the units from the Night Glacier clans, and that means that you can choose. You can do that, but then you're not going to have an economy, and that's just a way to lose quickly.
That's true. Do you think there's a specific reason why this lobby isn't seeing too many people go Glacial Knights, at least this round? We saw a couple people contest it last round, but even then, it wasn't heavily contested. Is that just because yesterday we saw a lot of Glacial Knights?
I think it comes down to the players in the last lobby being very, very versatile, and previously we've seen a lot of players being heavily biased towards certain comps, and Night Glacier is definitely one of the more popular ones being biased towards. But these players, they'll come here by being super versatile, efficient, and open to almost anything, basically. So I think when they see like 1 or 2 other players going for Night Glaciers, they're fine with going something else, and they can kind of make it work.
Well, hopefully we'll see some more interesting team compositions this time around. Maybe some more God Mages, as you know, Seiko might want to lean into, or let's see if, like, I don't know, I kind of want to see a Beast Warrior actually take the entire game, not just be winning the lobby until going out in an unfortunate 4th place. That was a little disappointing if I'm being honest, but looking at Archdevil right now, leaning into Dragon Mages.
Yeah, it does definitely seem like that. That's a pretty nice start of a comp. He does have those 3 mages already. He has those 2 spirits, which are very strong frontline against this mostly melee units that you see in the beginning.
Yeah.
Also Skybreaker to kind of help out as well. Definitely looking for going up a level or 2 to find Dragonite.
Yeah, actually early level up for a couple of players. I say that it's around 3 of them, I think, that are doing so to have that 5th unit able to maintain that win streak. Archdevil, of course, being one of them on 3 wins right now, hoping to go to his 4th. And seems to be pretty good of a good job on doing so, taking out Land's army quite easily.
Yeah, at this point, if you don't have a 2-star Hell Knight when you're playing Knights, you're just not going to be very strong. And that's one of the reasons why we see a lot of the Night Glacier players actually going from a lose streak instead of a win streak. Let's have a look at Chuck. I think we saw him with a 2-star God of War pretty early, and a pretty good okay, so he is going into Hunters with a God of War frontline, and God of War is really the best tank you can ask for in any setup, and it's so good actually that you don't really care about its like race being divinity, even in Hunters. That's kind of how important it is to just save a bit of extra times for your Hunters to deal consistent damage.
It's also actually, if I'm not mistaken, a really early Doom. You don't often see that unit in play before double-digit rounds. But because of that, though, look how strong that unit is. It's not dealing more damage than the 2-star Heaven Bomber, but still, it's definitely a good unit to have on your board in the early game and even through the late game.
Right.
Kong right now, though, he's going to lose his own board against Shredded, so this is actually a pretty big contrast to Kong's previous game, where he was at the top of the board for quite a while.
Yeah, for sure. However, someone who is doing the same thing we see is Land, which is one of the players that I spoke to a little bit earlier about him being quite efficient at doing the lose streak. Not his last game didn't go so well. He came in 8th.
Yeah.
But then we saw a lot more actually open forwarders. And this time around, Land is the one who's on Glacier Knights and is one of the only lose streakers. So I think this is a fairly good position for Land. The only issue for him is that I only see 1 Hell Knight so far.
Yeah.
And 0 Silver Blade Knights.
Yeah. He's not open forwarding though. He has a couple of units in play, as you can see, to at least hopefully take out 1 or hopefully 2 units on the opposing side to try and diminish the damage. He's at 70 HP, about to be dropped down to, what is this, like 63? 61? Okay, a little more than I guess, but still. Yeah, close enough. We'll take it. We take those. But he was going to want to find something soon, because you said, running out of time on finding those Knight units. Round 10, though, neutral round, should be able to continue his streak, hopefully get a couple of items, and maybe turn his favors around.
Yeah, for sure. This is an important one to win. Round 15 being even more important. Throwing in a second Desperate Doctor, which is one of the best units actually against the creep rounds. It's magic damage, a bit of a burst, but especially it stuns those units and is extra efficient actually when there's fewer units you play against, so you can kind of continuously stun them.
Shredded open forwarding in a neutral round.
This is quite a mistake, and I haven't seen Shredded open forward at all, and I am sensing a little bit of being a little bit uncomfortable here open forwarding. This is the first time I see him do it, and actually selling everything here to have the most interest possible, which is a little awkward because he already had invested a lot of money in his bench that costed him the previous round. So I would say Shredded is actually in a really bad spot at this point.
So coming into this event, Shredded was one of the players who said that like he doesn't want to lose streak at all. He wants to win streak, but we saw his attempt last game on win streaking did not work out for him at all. And so he might be deciding right now, you know what, let's just continue this lose streak. It might be a little too late to start that. For the plus side though, he's at 50 gold, 50 interest. He basically is just a full refresh on his game.
Jesus.
Is it too late? That's the question. He's going to have to high roll if he wants to have a good shot on climbing back into a top position on this round.
I think this is almost impossible Shredded at this point. Like, first, he spent a lot of money on this bench to kind of be flexible and to go into different rounds after finish lose streaking and have his chance for the creep round. Didn't put anything in for round 10. And now he sold his entire board already after losing all of the money. And then he put in 1 Frost Knight actually, which doesn't do anything. It's not going to kill a unit for sure. And he actually gets to play against Land, which has 0 units on the board. So now he lost his loss streak also. So I think basically Shredded at this point, he doesn't really have anything going for him. Like, he doesn't have life, he doesn't have economy really, and neither does he have a bench to build on. So I'll be surprised if someone goes out before Shredder in this current round.
Looking at Chuck right now, we saw how strong his board was, but he did lose his previous match against Jinsu, and he might be losing another one. No, I think the Sniper and the Agursis Ranger combination is going to be enough for him to win and maybe get back into a win streak. But despite losing his streak earlier, his board and economy, they're all right. They're not amazing. He's only at 49 gold now after that win. But with this board, that's not the worst thing. It's not like he has to come back from a huge deficit like a lose streak, or dare I say Shredded has to.
Yeah, no, his economy isn't insane at this point, but this setup is very solid, especially in the early to mid game with a flat damage increase. And this is one of these rounds where you really want to, as you were saying, see the total gold gain. So I would like to see some statistics on that.
I want to see Shredded's board as well, because I think he just rolled down a lot. Yeah, Land in the lead, lose streaking in the lead is not uncommon, followed by the win streakers. But Shredded, okay, so he's trying to go into a Night Glacial, but still nothing on the board. He's committing into his lose streak right now. The board doesn't look terrible, but rolling. But this is after he had just rolled down from 60 gold into like the 20s. This
is also actually a fairly bad play, I'd say, because if you're not going to put any units on the board, you might as well not roll down for units. That just means that you're going to have less interest gained every round, and that's not really doing anything. So, well, I don't really understand that play at all. And he might as well put in a Frost Knight now if he plays against Land, because he doesn't have that much of a lose streak. Okay, he does find Hell Knight 2 and Silver Blade Knight 2.
These are some good upgrades here. It's actually a full board of 2 stars, and that's, I think, better than what either of us would have expected when we saw what the situation that he was in. The question is, look at this. 3 players are going Glacial Knights, him included. Is this too little, too late? He has the 2 stars, but he's only just started building up the 3 stars of Light Blade and the Glacial Knight, and nothing else on his sideboard. He's gonna have to start winning, and winning hard, because his economy is in the dirt.
Yeah, as we were saying, his economy is really in the dirt. If we consider statistics again on gold gain, we can see him actually being in 3rd last place on gold gain, and he's also a loose streaker, so that's actually atrocious for him. What we also saw is that he actually kind of what we're calling the night gamble, where you stay at level 5 and then you start rolling, but you do that after you've gained 50 gold already. You don't go below 50 gold, and now it's almost going to be impossible for him to catch up on the other players in terms of levels. We already see tons of players being level 7 at this point.
Dare I say, this is another player in the midst of a salvage round, and those so far have not been super successful. Prepping for the Wolf round, hopefully he can get some good items. Looking at land here, also going Night Glacier, and this is, without a doubt, a significantly better Glacial Knight board than Shredded's. However, he has significantly lower health, already below 30 at the Wolf round.
Yeah, he does have lower health, and maybe even a little bit of a worse board, but he's only higher level, right? However, we did see Land having the best economy, I think, in this game, so I think Land is actually looking a lot better than Shredded is here. Probably one of the top players in this lobby. Even though it's below 30%, you're right, it is a little scary. Like, it doesn't give you tons of extra space to have those rounds you're losing against the top players, but his economy is looking good, and his comp definitely is looking good as well.
We'll see. We saw a couple of items on a couple of different players, some good items for Land especially. Stacking, of course, on the Light Blade Knight. Looking over here at Kong, however, little Warrior Hunter. We saw him lean into this earlier on, and he is absolutely committed at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
A small win streak, though.
It's a little bit in between. He has 4 warriors here, 3 of them being leveled up, so you definitely want to keep them, but also has a Berserker. It'll be interesting to see what he's going to do with that, especially with that Hunter backline. Pretty unusual unit to add once you're already playing Hunters, which usually gives you good enough of a backline assets.
You just beat Seiko there. Seiko, one of the players actually with the worst economy in the game, which is unfortunate considering he just came off of a win. Not exactly the best follow-up, but his health is all right. He's in the middle, but middling, of course, is not the best. But yeah.
Let's have a look at Seiko and see what he's working with, because he's probably spent a bit of money keeping more units on the board, or on the bench, I should say, and not really hitting those interest points, as well as not having a win streak or a lose streak. We actually see a 3-star Aggressist Ranger.
It's a pretty good early 3-star for Kong, but yeah, if we can look at Seiko's board real quick, just to see what he's got going on. It's another Glacial Knight. Is this one even worse than Shredded's?
I think it is. There's only one Silverblade Knight in here. There's a God of War 2 and a Soulbreaker 2, which definitely have to be transitioned out of. Soulbreaker doesn't do much later in the game, and God of War almost works in anything, right? Except for Glacial Knight. That is like the worst setup for it, because the thing that Glacial Knight needs is extra damage. And not extra tankability, and there's no way you're gonna get the Divinity bonus either way. So, and also one more thing you need is extra crowd control, and God of War also doesn't do that. So, pretty terrible in this setup.
Well, he could maybe go for Glacial now. He picked up the Fortune Teller and able to get in the Berserker as well. Slotting. Okay, there we go. He's gonna go for the 4 Glacial, but yeah, with only a 2-star Hell Knight and a 1-star Lightblade Knight, even the 4 Glacial might not be enough at this point. We'll see how he fares going later on into the game. And though, getting very, very low. Shredded getting low as well this early into the game.
Yeah, for sure. And let's have a look. Das is pretty far away from 3-starring both Silverblade Knight and Hell Knight. Those are the major players you really want to get up to 3-star to go into the mid-late game, into the late game, if you will. Those are the one that really makes you pull ahead. As one of the reasons why they're so strong in leveling up is that they're both really good carries, but Knights get a shield, which makes their effective HP better.
Yeah.
And that also means that when you get up to 3-star, basically your health doubles.
Yeah.
And with that Knight shield, that elevates it even more. So that's one of the reasons we see those units exactly being so good.
Shredded, we just saw him, I believe, take out... Who did we just see him take out? I can't remember. Wait, I can see it in the bottom left. I should look. I should start looking at this stuff.
Seiko lost against
He actually
Shredded.
lost to Bomber, and it looked good for a second there. But nonetheless, this is not the worst transition. I know we were a little worried about him. This actually looks better than I think we could have expected. But the economy is going to continue to be the main worry for Shredded. Now he's up against Land, who has objectively a better Glacial Knight board. He's probably going to lose this one again.
No, for sure. Land is just looking stronger here. He has a stronger economy. He has another higher level. He has a stronger units on the board. Yeah. It's looking real tough for Shredded still here. And the reason why I said it looked so tough earlier, I mean, the major reason was that his options were so limited considering his economy. Like, there's just no money to move around with and make those important decisions you can. You kind of put yourself in a bit of a hole, if you will.
I want to look at Chuck's board because he is by far the leader in this lobby, a significant margin. And it's not even an amazing board, at least at first glance, but it's been solid, it's been stable. Warriors are so flexible and versatile in the early game. The problem is this board may drop off as we head later on into this match, into this game. He's going to want to find some major upgrades to this board in order to make it work.
Yeah, definitely want to, as you were saying, it is very flexible in the way that it's really good in the early game. You see those Cave Clan units supporting each other, and you get a bonus extra health for both of them. And that's really good in the early game, but it doesn't scale at all. But then you can actually transition into other warriors. You can go for the Abyssal Guard if you play against mages, for example. There's also the Doom Arbiter, we see one of those. There's also the Pirate Captain, and there's tons of other units you can kind of spot in once you go into the late game.
A Razor Claw, which lends me to think that he's going to try and mix a little bit of Beast in this.
Yeah.
But with only a 1-star Werewolf, maybe not want to bring in even a single level of the Beast. I do like Razor Claw personally, so I'm not going to fault him too much for just teching that single unit in despite having 0 synergies. But up against Jinsu right now, the AoE from Jinsu's side is actually going to be getting the better of him, breaking his... Nope, I say that, it's the Razor Claw. There's a reason I like this unit so much.
Yeah, the thing with Razor Claw at round 21 is basically creating 2 units that are both pretty strong.
Yeah.
And especially this early, that's just a major difference. Also, against the mages, Razor Claw is extra good because usually they do a big portion of their damage at first, and then the bear got summoned. So it's very good at like kind of sweeping up the mage team after they've done their initial burst.
It avoids all that AoE that happens so fast, especially in the late game when all those mana items and just mana creation abilities like from Source are at their peak. Back on a Shredded though, he's dropped below Land in health. He's on a 4-loss streak. It's make or break for this guy right now, and I haven't seen any major upgrades to it just yet. He's throwing the Fortune Teller real quick off to the side, hopefully to act as a distraction real quick. But up against Archdevil, one of the top players in the lobby, this is not happening. It's going to be Shredded out in 8th place. This has been a horrible game for him, a novel attempt to try and turn it around, but he is not going to be happy at this one.
Yeah, against that 2-star Pirate Captain, there's just no way he's going to come back from this. You can't still be lose streaking after you've lose streaked at round 22, then you're just dead. And this is so good for Land and the other Night Glacier player we see in this lobby, because now all of those units get released into the wild, right? So it's going to be easier to find him. And he's definitely see, as I say that, he finds...
Hey, what's this?
What is this? Where did these guys come from? Oh, I guess Shredded lost. Yeah, so... Land looking really nice, and I love that he saved his money until Shredder went out, because then you can start hitting the reroll button to find those very important units to get your major upgrades.
Yeah, that's actually, it's that sort of use of efficiency that separates the great players from just the good, all right players. A good player on Land though, but it's interesting. All 3 Glacial Knight players are the bottom 3 in the lobby right now. Seiko is going up against Chuck, and Seiko has corrected his board a little bit. I'm assuming partly because Shredded left and able to, as you said, release those units out into the wild. But Chuck is still giving him a big run for his money. I think Seiko is going to win. It's going to turn his loss streak around. And actually, it's Jinsu drops below both of those players. I said, okay, Land is going to correct me.
Yeah, Land actually losing against Seiko, being the other Knight leadership players, is going to be a little scary for Land here. He's definitely going to hope for a bit of luck, hoping that Seiko goes out before him, but it seems unlikely at this point. And if Land indeed goes out, it's going to be the same thing again, but even more, right? Because at this point, Land has accumulated a lot more Knight units than Shredded kind of flung back into the wild. So then Seiko would actually look really strong. And if that happens soon, not only is he going to find his units, but he's going to kind of get into the point where he can turn it around, because that's where Knight leadership hits their peak.
I'm shocked that Land lost to Seiko because he's got the 3-star Lightblade Knight. Granted, the items are a little light on that. Let's see how it fares against Bomberin. The damage on the left side, the Lightblade Knight's off the chart, but the Siren Stun, this could be enough of a stall to allow Bomberin to get another win, or at least give Land another loss. But I think the Knight shields are doing their part, and the damage from Lightblade Knight looks to be enough, and he's gonna stay alive for just a little bit longer. 6 HP though doesn't give him enough of a window.
Yeah, we could see Land there in the previous round. The most important thing for him there was that he actually found his Lightblade Knight instead of his Hell Knight at 3-star, because he got to play against a God of War 3-star, and if you get to play against that, your Hell Knights gets kind of stuck on that for the entirety of the game. Now instead he was able to cleave the entire backline with those bounces, so good on Land there. Otherwise he would have been looking a little bit more bleak, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big shield on God of War, but it can't stop those bounces. Looking at Jinsu's board right now, it's an early level 3 for him on the Shining Dragon. It's another Dragon Mage build, which, despite struggling in the earlier days of this event, has actually only gotten stronger and stronger as this whole entire event has gone on, including last game getting, I believe, a 3rd place.
Yeah, second place even, I believe. But
it doesn't matter. It was all Seiko all day that time.
It's true. No, but it's really a testament to how aggressive this tournament started. Way more aggressive than we've seen in the previous competitive events. And I was kind of nudging towards that in the beginning of the event. It's going to take a little bit of time for the Mage Dragon players to kind of figure out their place in this new aggressive metagame. But when they do, they have the raw power level to become really strong. So when you understand the new tempo, you know when you need to roll in your money and to level up. So that's good.
You know what he also has? He is 1 away from a 3-star God of War.
Yeah, as soon as he finds that, I'm sure he's going to put it in. Maybe even worth it against the Storm Shaman here. Storm Shaman is really, really powerful though with 6 mages. So I think it's pretty close, honestly.
Well, let's see how it fares against Chuck, and actually even the damage from the Storm Shaman seems to be a lot.
Yeah.
But really it's going to be all the magic damage, the Shining Dragon up at the top, close to 6k. Chuck's board has really fallen off, dare I say it, as looking at his health alone, but Land wins once again, this time against Archdevil.
Finds a 3-star Hell Knight also, so we do know he already has a 3-star Silverblade Knight, so really finding the right units here.
Thank you, Shredded. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. But I do believe he's missing a bit of items, actually. If we have a look at his Hell Knight, it's not a lot here. He does actually have a Maelstrom and an Oblivion Staff here on Lightblade Knight, so that's pretty good.
I'd like to see a Frantic Mask as well, just because that lifesteal is so powerful. How many times have we seen a Lightblade Knight be the lone remaining Knight player on a board and basically 1v3, 1v4? Looking at Seiko's board, though.
Name a more iconic duo. Lightblade Knight and Frenzy Mask.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Seiko's board, though, also going Night Glacier, of course, not as strong. And, well, he's going to be dealing with his big brother. This is Land's win through and through.
Right. Not only does Seiko not have a Lightblade Knight at 2-star, he also doesn't, or at 3-star, he also doesn't have a Berserker at 2-star, and he's going to actually get crushed by Land. And this is huge for Land because now he gets all of Seiko's units.
Yeah.
Much like Shredder released all of his units into the wild, and Land's looking really... It's actually funny that we saw Seiko before he lost. His Lightblade Knight had the exact same items, but with a Frenzy Mask that we just talked about. Exactly the same, so...
I mean, it's... I just realized, it's kind of funny. This is a King of the Hill last one standing game overall, but we also just saw a last one standing of Glacial Knight composition in general. And Land, of course, the loose streak god himself, is coming out on top, having a much better round this time around, sitting in 5th place. It's a small pool of health, though. But it's a pretty small pool of health for a lot of players. Even Kong at the top only has 43, and we have 4 players below 20 HP. This could be a couple of points that get awarded based off of mere seconds.
Uh-oh. I see a lot of 3-star units here with Marine buff. They're gonna survive against an initial burst. This might be not it for Jinso, but it's gonna be close. That 3-star Shining Dragon does super nice.
But the 3-star Gursis Ranger is doing even more. It's not going to be too much damage, but you're right. It's a lot to work with. Only 1-star Tortola Elder, and despite also not having a refresh orb, I think that's really big despite having the God of War slotted in.
Yeah, Boomerang actually lost this round against Land that did get his units back since falls down to 3%. Let's have a look at Boomerang. See what his Boomerang is working with at 3% currently. He's that it's actually looking pretty good, but at soon run 30 with all of those other players falling out, we're actually seeing other competition becoming stronger. So he's actually quite far away from another upgrade too, so kind of scary here for Boomerang at this point, losing while he's kind of at his peak, if you will.
Oh yeah, it's almost like he's at 80% capacity and he's not close to getting to the 100%, and he's being taken out by Kong, just the level 3 archer, the level 2 sniper, dealing heavy damage, and the Siren ultimate went off on the side of Boomerang and didn't do a lot. It's a sniper in a 1v2 and it's not looking good, but Chuck is also going out! Chuck goes out first, right before Boomerang does. Archdevil also lost, but survives with 1 HP, and Land is now in 3rd place on health in 6th.
Yeah, for sure. Tons of players going out there. I was actually a little surprised that he didn't lose that round, because one Doom went off on the other Siren, one went off on the Soul Reaper, so usually Siren's ultimate is so important to get off, but being a little bit stronger in the end is going to be good for him. Let's have a look at Archdevil being at 1%. What is he going to do actually to come back from this?
Well, we'll see what happens with the Black Dragon King. Hopefully it's an well, not the Black Dragon, but it's the neutral round. Hopefully an item is going to give him some way into this, but it's not looking good. I don't know what sort of streak he's on, if it's a lost streak or he's just been back and forth. Okay, yeah, so he was on at least a little bit of a win streak before it just got broken, but down to 1 HP. He has no room for error. Oh, there we go. That's really good, though. He gets the upgrade on the Tortola Elder. Hopefully that extra damage combined with the Shining Dragon damage is enough, but it's only a 1-star Dragon Knight. It's only a 1-star Flaming Wizard.
It's only a 2-star Water Spirit also. What Archdevil is really looking for is actual upgrades, and before that Tortola Elder got upgraded, all of his most important units were still at level 1, so that is actually the major pinch point here for the Archdevil.
This is a weird position for him. Tortola Elder is actually quite forward, even if it is pocketed in. It actually gets Penguin at the very beginning. This is huge. It's going to be a huge delay, and that ultimate being thrown out. The Ghost Ship does delay a little bit, and the Tortola Elder ultimate does go off, but it wasn't fully charged. And now Land is going to be the slayer of Archdevil. He goes out in 4th, but Land in his own fight. How is he faring? He loses 2! I don't know if he's going to survive this. He does not have the Fortune Teller shield, so he's going to go out, luckily, in 3rd place. But Jinsu is surviving, actually wins his own board, and now we're on the top 2 players.
Wow. Yeah, we can see Jinso basically being a stronger version here of Archdevil. Does have that 2-star Dragon Knight, does have that 2-star Flaming Wizard, also having a 3-star Shining Dragon as it is. Does have an Orb refresh on Storm Shaman alongside so many upgraded items. Storm Shaman being one of the highest damage dealers in this comp, actually being the only non-mage from dealing magic damage. It's kind of an incredible unit here for sure. It's going to be interesting to see if he can survive Kong, however.
A little bit unusual of a positioning, but that's because he's facing directly against Kong and he can make more minute changes. Only 1 Tortola Elder. May not be enough damage, and there's actually going to be a huge stun from the side of Kong, but the damage coming out from the Dragon Knight is enough, it seems. It's just a level 3 Agursis Ranger, and it's going to be enough, actually. I think Jinsu survives. Only takes 2 damage, but it's still getting quite close for him. He needs to find some sort of opening, and honestly, leveling up that Tortola Elder will be huge, but he has no money to roll, doesn't even have a pair of that unit.
Yeah, he's just gonna hope again that he has a similar round the next round, that he doesn't lose too many units, and he doesn't really have too many other ways to actually position units except for moving to the other side. But Kong actually made a pretty nice play of moving his units around and spreading them, so he doesn't take a major amount of damage from AoE like Shining Dragon.
Fight breaking out on both sides. A lot of Storm Spirit AoEs out. Only one on the left screen, but the Ghost Ship comes out on the right side of things. The damage, it's so close back and forth. I don't want to call it either way.
Yeah, it does seem indeed like the two toughest units stay alive again. Kong actually loses on his side of the board, but more importantly for Jinso, he does survive on his own board, being the one with lower HP here. He's gonna maybe survive into the Dragon round and maybe enough money to get that Tortola Elder 2-star.
Maybe this split, you don't often see a Dragon Mage split like this, but it seemed to work out for the best. You don't need to protect the Tortola Elder so much because it's only a 1-star, and it's actually going to be the Shining Dragon and the Dragon Knight as the two main carries on this board. Of course, I have to mention the Storm Shaman, but this he's changing it up again. Okay, he's bringing the Dragon Knight back. I was a little curious he's leaving the God of War on the right side. Doing a couple of changes. What is he doing? He's just going back and forth. Make a decision.
Yeah, this is really a game of cat and mouse we're seeing here. Trying to avoid his opponent's units and trying to position them in a way that Kong wouldn't expect. And I mean, barely we expected what was going on, seeing all of it happen.
But it's actually looking really good. That sort of fake out is working out for Jinsu. Of course, the level 3 God of War goes down, and it's the level 3 Igris' Ranger doing a lot of damage, as well as a 2-star Sniper on from the back line, and he's actually going to lose this round. This is going to be close. It might just be enough for damage. 4 HP remaining. He has, at this point, dare I say it, literally 0 room for error.
Whew. Jinso does survive until the Black King Dragon round, and it is able to save up some money. And this means he's going to give himself much higher chance to find the Tortola Elder when he rolls down on round 36, and maybe even getting a nice item. Let's pull up the item tab and see what people are working with here.
We can see the items real quick. Of course, we're going to get one big one from the Dragon King. Of course, free fresh orbit. Some good items across the board. I want to give it towards Jinsu just a little bit, but it's pretty close either way. Well, actually, real easy of a finish for Kong. Mages do struggle more than other compositions towards neutral rounds, but nonetheless, it's item pickups for both sides. What did they get from that? That's the question. A helicopter, though.
Yeah. I do think Jinsu should pick up a teleport dagger, so not the best item for Jinsu. But Kong has 2 teleport daggers actually in his backpack, and millions of items he actually hasn't used. I'm a little surprised here. Maybe he just haven't had the time to use those efficiently, using his time to actually move his units around instead.
Another fake out by Jinsu going into the full, like, the official corner pocket for the Dragon Mage strat. And this might fake him out, but again, they're being surrounded right now. The Storm Shaman ultimate goes off in the far back. That might not be enough. The Tortola Elder ultimate has yet to come out. It actually is charging up right now, but the Siren ultimate is stunning them all. This positioning backfired heavily, and Jinsu goes out. Kong takes game number 2.
Yeah, we saw there, Kong in the end actually found 4 Marines, finding that Tsunami Stalker, and it's going to be this tipping point that is going to defeat Jinso's mages there in the end. So maybe using his time in APM to do that, and had tons of items to spare as well. So looking good for Kong here.
Yeah, and I got to say, guys, I'm sure you heard it, but lots of oohs and ahs from the audience here in Shanghai as perhaps a Chinese favorite Kong. Doing what has to be done there. Pretty entertaining match. Something else that really stuck out to me was land and all the Glacial Knight play, the kind of the weirdness from Shredded early on. Like, not a situation you want to find yourself in on the grand final stage or the $1 million prize pool. It seemed like he had trouble committing in a particular direction.
Yeah.
But do you guys think, you alluded to a little bit earlier, land, he was one of the first guys to really drop down below 15 HP in that match, yet he found himself in third, going Glacial Knight, and we saw Shredded and Psycho going Glacial Knight. They got knocked out as 2 of the first 3 knocked out. Could Land have benefited, in a sense, from those extra units? And did that really help him propel and get that third place? And Joel, to your point, you know, you're hyping this guy up. That's some pretty cool on the run.
No, for sure.
Transitioning.
He's really good at playing from a loose streak, definitely, and we could see him doing it so much more efficiently than the other two players doing it. And we talk a lot about being versatile in this game and staying open,
right?
And that's one of the ways you do really well. However, something you can stay open with and be versatile with is the economy. You gotta pick a side, and then you're gonna go with it. You can't move around, winning here, losing there, and then kind of rolling a little bit here, and then like saving a little bit money here. It just becomes a catastrophe. And we can really see that with Shredded, just as you said.
Right, and Shredded trying to play in Land's playbook, take a play from his playbook with the some cheeky plays, some cheeky transitions, but it just didn't work out for him.
So I want to refrain from criticizing Shredded a little bit too much because we didn't exactly see what his board looked like before he did the full wipe. We only caught that halfway through.
Right.
So it's quite possible, and my guess is that board was just atrocious. And
he
really,
just nothing was dealt to him,
So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and that was really the only reasonable play in that situation to have any chance of breaking the top 4. It unfortunately didn't work out for him, and following up a 6th place finish with an 8th place, he has to have a great rest of this series if he wants to get into the top 4, dare I say.
We're already seeing a fair amount of variance. Psycho getting first and then dropping to 7th, and here we're seeing all that laid out.
Yeah.
Which means, parity abound here. It's still anyone's ball game. Remember, 6 total matches, so we're going to be doing a lot of math as the day goes along. Kong with that victory. He's the most consistent guy right now, going 4th, going 1st, 14 at the top. China, number 1, number 2. And Psycho with that 7th, dropping down to 4th, which, is manageable since he got that first in the first match. So still, anyone's ball game here.
For sure. It's going to be super interesting to see this right down the line and see if everyone can kind of stick to the thing they're good at, or who's going to be the most versatile to kind of perfect everything. If I have one advice for Shredded, for example, is try to do what you're comfortable with. I mean, it does work out for some people. We almost saw Lucky forcing something every game and almost making it to the grand finals. And you can do that, but to a lesser extent, and kind of know your strengths and weaknesses.
I don't know. At the same time, what Shredded has been playing throughout this event wasn't amazing. He kind of just barely scraped through the groups in the semifinals. And, I mean, coming into today, I was hoping that he would have a next level to go to at the grand finals, but so far we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, well, still a lot of room to work with for now. Let's take a listen to our representative from the United States. That's Chuck.
For the semifinals, I actually did really good the first 2 games, and it put me quite ahead in the leaderboard. And with an okay 3rd game, I was feeling pretty confident, and even though I got dead last the last game, I still qualified. Today, I'm just going to be playing my own game, having fun, not stressing too much about placement, because whatever place I end up with, I'll be happy with. So I've actually had a lot of fun just watching and playing against all the other players. It's a lot different than I thought it would be. I thought certain characters would be the only ones used, but I've seen all kinds of comps used, and it was actually really interesting.